Week 14 is here, and there's going to be a lot of very obvious running back plays people are going to be flocking to all over, but it's not a lot of teams available this week. Plenty of teams on bye. We're going to figure it out like we always do here. Of course, going to look at the projections and the ownership on Stochastic. We're also going to look at the solver, see what ETR says about things, sim things out on there, and of course, sim things out on Stochastic, finding all the highest ROI lineups for every single QB on the slate. It's your final takes video, guys. Let's get into it. I'm feeling tired. Kid woke up twice over the middle of the night for no particular reason. So wife's birthday last night. I am a sleepy goose, but we just got a projection update 1 minute ago. So that's going to bring me back to life, right? Your top objective player, a guy that people cannot help themselves. The dumbest parts of my community cannot help but railing against me because I point out that maybe you win more money by not playing Saquon Barkley this week. And really one of those things that you have seen across social media. Try to sort by the main slate. Here we go. Saquon Barkley, your top objective player. So right now, the Philadelphia Eagles, as of this morning, as of about 2 minutes ago, 13.5 point implied total is what they are up to. In terms of their team total, that's the spread, obviously. Up to 29.3 implied points, one of the highest totals we've seen on the year. Very possible that Saquon Barkley breaks slate today. That said, as we'll see in a moment when we look at ownership, he's projected for a reasonable amount of ownership according to Stochastic. According to ETR, same thing. They're reflecting what the true projection is, what the salary is, which is really high at 9K. So the main thing here, people have been really weird to the point of uncomfortability about Saquon Barkley this year because I think people well, especially local in Philadelphia, they can't live with the idea that A, you don't like their favorite player, the guy who's winning them so much money. B, the second part is that people don't grasp it. He's been overperforming his expected fantasy points every single week by so much. At a certain point, you can find that depth. And we've been in this spot before with the chalk RB against Carolina. The guy's getting great red zone work against Carolina. Sometimes the touchdowns don't happen for those RBs in those situations, especially when you have Philadelphia, where you have Jalen Hurts who get the push touchdowns. You have A.J. Brown who can score from 50 yards out. You have Devontae Smith who could theoretically score from 50 yards out if he doesn't do it that more. There are ways to not play Saquon Barkley, and I think it is like it's one of those things. It's the fucking meme of the idiot on one side, the smart guy on the other side, everybody in the middle, like, oh no, you can't play that guy. Idiots are going to play Saquon Barkley. I'm sure some amount of the high IQ players on the slate will also play Saquon Barkley. That's probably fine enough to be with the field on him. But really, this is your decision point on the slate, because if I had to guess, I think he'll still be about 25-30% owned, and I think the cheap RB value opening up is going to make Saquon Barkley even chalkier. So right now, industry projections have him about 15 to 20%. I still would guess, based upon, again, the fact I'm literally getting fucking weirdos leaving me comments about it, probably closer to 33, 40. It would honestly not shock me if you had 40% Saquon at 9K. I don't think that's the way you win on the slate, but people are going to do it. So that's how it looks. That's my opening salvo here for a thing that's been annoying. Like legit, if you guys have been following the chat at all, there's this guy, Eddie Mush, who I've just never liked, who's been wrong in chat multiple times. At one point had a tantrum because he was wrong about something, and I pointed it out. Dude left me 3 fucking insane comments last night, and people are pushing me on the Saquon thing. And if you push Spags will push back by not playing your favorite running back. Honestly, though, it's to the point where, like, for you guys out there, match the field on it, get them 25%. For me, I might do a religious stand thing and just play flat 0 just because I fucking hate the guy. If I'm going to fade one, but I fade Kamara, Barkley. All Barkley. Fade him. Would you play Saquon in a smallish field single entry? Probably not. No. I mean, I don't think there's any format where he's functionally a good play based on salary. Projection is great, but it's not enough to get there. Like, the projection is accounting for overperformance, and the projection's accounting for just touchdowns that might not be there. And I think that's something too, where look, he might get you 100 yards today. If he gets you 100 yards and doesn't get you more than 1 touchdown, he still didn't pay off that price tag. So that's how I feel about it, but we'll talk more about other RBs. Alvin Kamara, I think, is a very viable pivot. Again, the projection difference here, you're seeing a 0.25. This is just math. You're talking about $1,000 less in salary, 0.25 difference in projection. You should be playing Kamara more. Now, Kamara is still going to be chalking the ownership. If I had to guess what's going to happen in ownership this week is that the data for Stochastic, for ETR, is going to say people are going to play Alvin Kamara so much. The reality of the field today is that people are going to play Saquon more than expected. And then Kamara becomes a better play through that prism because of the fact that, A, there's now nobody left on New Orleans to take stuff away from him with Taysom Hill being out for probably forever with the ACL tear. I don't think he'll ever be the same again from that. But really here, again, the projection is just so close and you're getting $1,000 in savings and you need it. I tried to hand build the lineup on Friday on the stream, and granted, we've had some more RB value open up over the weekend, but like it's hard to build the lineup with Kamara. It's impossible, I think, to build the lineup with Saquon and have it actually be a good lineup. So I'm going to try to find good lineups with Saquon, with Kamara, with whatever. We'll see what we get in a little bit here. But like this $1,000 difference and barely a difference in projection, like sharp players should play Kamara is really how it looks. Shocked if Kamara comes in lower than Barkley. I really strongly feel, just again, I know I'm in a unique spot here, but like just based on the market talk about this stuff, and again, based on how many, smart people and legit the dumbest people I've ever known are just so myopically focused on Saquon and think that he's doing some magical thing when in reality, just getting great blocking and he's on a good team. And like, that's it. I think it ends up a lot higher, but we'll see. Look, call me on it if I'm wrong, but if I had to guess, we'll look at ownership in a moment. If I had to guess, Saquon's going to be 33. Kamara will be 20-25. Josh Allen, 21 is a projection for him at an 8K salary as well. Another perfectly credible play. Hard to stack him up, though. I know people have been asking about, can I stack him up with Amari Cooper? You can try. I just don't know if there's really one receiver you look at there. You're not getting Dalton Kincaid again. You might get Keon Coleman back in, which does sort of upset the equation a little bit for Khalil Shakir and Amari Cooper if you get Keon Coleman back in. But Josh Allen certainly playable here because I do think a lot of people will play Jalen Hurts as the pivot point to Saquon. As a result, you probably end with Josh Allen lower owned than he should be against a Rams defense that we know has not been good at any point this year. Jalen Hurts at number 4, 20.3 is the projection for him. Again, another pivot point. If he scores 2 tush-push touchdowns, that probably means Saquon didn't hit his expectation. You could also try to play Jalen Hurts with Saquon. That's a lot of money tied up in 2 positions, but certainly if you're going to try to predict where a 29-point implied total goes, it's probably Saquon to some extent. It's probably Jalen Hurts picking up everything else, and then maybe there's like a Gainwell touchdown, an A.J. Brown touchdown mixed in, Calcaterra filling in for Goddard. Maybe that happens, but Jalen Hurts, pricey, and he's your pivot point for the Saquon chalk. Justin Jefferson, don't think he gets as highly owned. We'll see what it looks like in a moment here, but a 19.4 projection for him. Soft matchup on paper versus Atlanta. The question is, can Sam Darnold actually lead to a spike day for Justin Jefferson in the way that we're used to? I'm not sold on that based on what we've seen usage-wise so far. Second part of it is, can Atlanta push enough on their side? Reportedly, the fact that they even have to say this, but I think it was in Diana Rossini's column. She was like, they haven't talked about replacing Kirk Cousins at all. And frankly, she's not a good reporter. She's wrong on a lot of stuff. I'll just say that out loud. Second part of it is that the fact that she's getting any sort of reporting about it, the fact that it's not a conversation, means it's probably been a conversation for Atlanta. Atlanta is not a good enough team to fight off this Minnesota defense. Like, you talk about a team that's generating pressure. I know the revenge stuff. It's Kirk Cousins coming back to Minnesota. But like, you look at the numbers here on my sheet. Of course, if you are a paying member here, you get my sheet every week. All red here for a team that's given up a negative 0.07 EPA per dropback, negative 0.08 EPA per pass, negative 0.16 EPA per rush, blitzing 37% of the time and getting pressure at a high 27% rate, almost 28%. They're hurrying about 10% of the time. That's all bad news for Kirk Cousins here. So I just don't think that Jefferson has enough of an impetus to get where he needs to go, because I don't think Atlanta hangs in this game. So that's one of my personal beliefs. But in terms of a top 5 guy for Jefferson, I see why people want to get there. Certainly a pivot point to the higher dollar RBs, but just not a priority for me, I think, on the slate. Let's go position by position here real fast. Look at the top QBs. We saw a couple of them. So if you aren't playing Saquon, hedge with first or second touchdown prop. No, I mean, you're what, minus money bets? That's also not great betting either. It's like, again, it's too priced in. Like everything with Saquon this week, salary and DFS, pick 'em markets. Like your prop line is like 112. Like you're not getting value in anything. That's what this whole game is. Like price sensitivity. Like, Petty Theft retired from NBA DFS a couple of weeks ago, did a video on Lulz talking about it, or did an interview on Lulz, talked deep in depth about like price sensitivity and how it's one of the things that he does that he doesn't think people do enough of. That's it in everything in betting. The line you get on a sports book, having that be the line with the least juice or the most plus money towards you have to do that. For Saquon, like betting his anytime touchdowns was minus 300. Like, don't take that bet. Like, it's not good. You're the idiot. Like, don't be the guy who's betting $3 million on the Eagles money line. Those aren't good bets. So that's functionally how I feel about it. Like, play Saquon if you must in whatever formats, but like, these aren't good bets no matter what you're playing. Sam Darnold, your number 3 QB, a 3.2 projection for him. Again, soft matchup versus Atlanta. The issue for me is that he doesn't concentrate enough on Justin Jefferson. We have seen, as I mentioned, fantasy points data showing over the last month. You got Jordan Addison getting more first read targets than Justin Jefferson, just by a little bit, but still enough there to have some worry about it. For Darnold, I get him producing more than I do saying Jefferson is going to have an outlier day. Certainly can. I think if I were to play a Darnold Jefferson stack plus, even if it's a plus Addison, whatever, Hawkinson, I would probably want to have an Atlanta bring back because I think there has to be Cousins' success on the other side. Cousins' revenge looks like he's dealing with an arm injury, 0 touchdowns, and a bunch of interceptions the last 3 games. No way he gets benched against the Vikings, though. I don't think he gets benched. I just don't think he's ready. I just don't think the QB I've seen play this year, I don't believe is good enough to compete against Minnesota's defense. Like, that's just how I feel about it. And I can't say it enough times. The only game we've seen where Kirk Cousins created material value for all of his receivers or multiples of them was a game where he threw for 500 yards against the softest pass defense, or one of them in football, in Tampa Bay. So I'm just not sold that we get enough of a push-pull in this game, even though on paper, like, it seems okay. Though honestly, the total for Atlanta is down under 20 now, 19.8 implied points. So it doesn't look like a shootout kind of environment, at least based off the market totals. Baker Mayfield, a soft matchup against Vegas. You have some natural sack partners with him. Your Mike Evans, your Cade Otton. You could also pair him with the RBs if you want. Little tough, I think, for me to get there this week, but certainly not a play I mind. And Kyler Murray, 18.8 fantasy points for him. Looks like a pretty good value at a $6K salary. Not a high total game either versus Seattle. Arizona's defense weaker than Seattle's as well. But Kyler feeding his pass catchers 12 targets each last week, his primary guys, Harrison and McBride. I think that's certainly a will thing there, given that Jonathan Gannon talked about that as well. So trying to go to the Arizona stack, I think, would have some appeal here. I would say with a Seattle bring back, I think it would work the best. I think Bijan as a run back, if you go with the Vikings, could be okay. Maybe. I mean, I don't know that I want to pay the Bijan price tag. Like, if you're going to pay that much money, play Kamara, play Achane, who doesn't have Mostert again, pay up for Saquon. Bijan's okay. It's really tough, man. When you have that much blitz pressure, like, maybe he gets some more checkdowns as a result, but like, I just don't think this team is going to have much success moving the ball. I could be totally wrong here, and maybe just the Kirk Cousins veteran skill or whatever, and the fact that it is a revenge game maybe propels him to new heights. But like, Minnesota's defense, I never want to play anybody against. A team that I think is like the most paper tiger out of most teams that have an okay record. I really just don't want to play him, but you can take the shot. Is there a QB? Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, we'll talk about them when we get there, but there are QBs I like. I like Jalen Hurts. I can't be more clear about that. Saquon Barkley, Alvin Kamara, Devon Achane, Bucky Irving, Bijan Robinson. These are your top 5 overall. Bucky has the hip and foot. He's got 2 injuries that are accumulating injuries that are not the best for him and different from the one he's had. He has a toe injury that he's had since college and keeps working through. Like Bucky's price tag, especially compared to these guys, definitely some risk here. He loses a little bit more work for Rachaad White. Maybe they dust off Sean Tucker again. That'd be my concern point for him. Achane, I think, has quietly become a much better play. He's at a weird price tag. People aren't going to want to pay more for him than Kamara, but you're getting no Mostert out there. Jets team as well, losing Breece Hall doesn't help, kind of portends maybe them going the opposite direction. We've also got Devontae Adams talking about his contract already this week. Kind of seems like the Jets, they already should have been going the wrong way, but it wouldn't be shocking if we see them really start to fall apart this week. So Achane getting there in that kind of situation seems like a decent one. And his projection is so much lower. Like, legitimately, it sucks. Like, you're giving away 5 points of projection if you play Achane while paying $200 more. That's unfortunately how you win DFS tournaments. So I think Achane should be more of a priority play this week, even though Kamara, Barkley going to be the chalk of all chalk. Bucky Irving, I do think gets owned a good amount. Bijan gets owned a good amount. And then value-wise, this is probably the most important part. With no Kenneth Walker, you have a pretty big value metric on Zach Charbonnet. A tough matchup. We haven't even seen Kenneth Walker get there in about a month. So it's a little bit hard for me to say that Charbonnet is definitely going to get there. That said, Arizona is not a great defense. Arizona on the year giving up 0.02 EPA per rush, 0.05 EPA per pass, 0.04 EPA per drop back, all positive numbers there. They're also allowing RB targets at a decent 17.5% clip and a 0.14 EPA on those targets. So Charbonnet's in a good position for himself. And he can get the crush of workload, but still, I would just warn against the fact that, like, legit Kenneth Walker, like, if Kenneth Walker can't be good here, I'm not sure that Charbonnet can, but he should consolidate both his role and Walker's, and that kind of balances it out. So Charbonnet is certainly a play this week. Kamara, despite his high salary, still going to be a top value. Isaac Guerrero, another one. I'm really the most questioning of this one. Did hear JM Twin on the video he does with Pete talking up Guerrero, saying like the Niners are going to try this one to win this one by running. I guess. I just don't think they use Jordan Mason that well. I said it on Friday. Still think the analogy fits. It's like these roles, like Jordan Mason was a Xerox of the Christian McCaffrey role, and like a copy of a copy kind of thing. We're now at Guerrero, where he's a copy of the role, and Jordan Mason got less pass game work, got less goal line work. Guerrero, I think, gets even less goal line work, gets even less pass game work. And the Niners themselves, like, I think this team knows that they are going to not be able to compete this year. Like, they've already talked about Christian McCaffrey's post, when it rains, it pours, I've said. Certainly something as well that doesn't look like a team that's really motivated and thinks like, we're going to keep fighting. Like, they're literally Christian McCaffrey at the very least, the way he posed that. And I do think you're probably talking for the team a little bit there, calling out the dog, saying we're waiting for next year. Like, that's it. So can they run? Yeah, they can run block. It doesn't matter. It's still a tough Chicago defense. Like, and what have you gotten out of the Niners backs for a month now? Like, I don't know. At a certain point, you have to look at what you're actually getting as opposed to what the mental priors are in a team. The Niners are not that same team this year. So you want to play Guerrero, knock yourself out. Playing lineups with Guerrero, Braylon Allen, and Charbonnet are certainly going to be a thing people do this week. All 3 RB spots paying $5,500 or less. But like, I think there's a decent chance you end up with 3 RBs here as a value who have 12 to 15 fantasy points. And I don't know if that's enough to win you a tournament. Honestly, I don't love the value backs. I'd rather pay up for Kamara, pay up for Bucky Irving, figure out things like that. I'd rather take a shot at Tony Pollard against a soft Jacksonville defense. I know it's not the most fun either, especially because you have Tyjae Spears back in. But I think Connor, I think, is a valid play. Aaron Jones against that soft Atlanta defense, a valid play. There's a lot of ways to go to. So I really don't think that there's the best logic in playing all the value RBs because you're going to get duped to hell. And I really do think that one of these guys, if not 2, if not 3, fail pretty spectacularly. Braylon Allen, though, against Miami, he can get there. The issue is like losing work to Isaiah Davis in the pass game. Like Breece Hall lost some touches there. Braylon Allen's definitely going to lose some touches there. He can score 2 touchdowns for sure. Honestly, I think relative to how these guys will be owned and how they're going to be perceived, I probably do like Braylon Allen the most of the 3 value backs. Charbonnet's workload's a little bit hard for me to ignore, but Braylon Allen, I think, talent-wise and touchdown expectation-wise should be a little bit higher. The Jets do pass above expectation in the red zone, so I don't know that Braylon Allen is as good of a play as he would have felt like a month ago, 6 weeks ago, filling in for Breece Hall. And Saquon Barkley, despite his high salary, he's the number 5th overall RB value. All right, let's go to wide receivers next. I was trying to go position by position. I should be going faster here. This is my bad. All right, not value. Let's just sort by projection. Who else is sitting in RB for the Niners? Gord Jr. They added Izzy Abanikanda. I don't think that there's going to be a ton of volume going away from Guerrero for the record. I just don't think there's going to be fantastic value going for them. And really, I think the main thing to me is that Guerrero, at least on Friday, projected as super duper chalk, like crazy play. I don't want to play Guerrero if he's going to be that highly owned against Chicago defense that like is legit very good. I mean, this is a Chicago defense that didn't give up a touchdown to the Lions RBs. I think that's something, I'm pretty sure they didn't. Like they've done good work this entire year. So I don't like the spot to target a team that's like worse than they've ever been and also losing high upside plays. So that's how I feel about that. Top receivers right now, Justin Jefferson, number 1 at that 19.4 projection. Number 2, Puka Nacua. Number 3, Malik Neighbors. Isn't Neighbors limited? Nobody knows. They're speculating off it. He's supposedly going to play. They're saying he might be limited. You don't know. So the projection's probably a little bit high. I do think ETR docked him a little bit. So if you want to dock him, you can. But Neighbors still a strong play, I think. Mike Evans at number 4, 17.3 projection. And number 5, A.J. Brown. And yes, the Niners do have Keyshawn Vaughn as well. I forgot about him. But yes. Free Izzy. Izzy's a better college player than Guerrero. Izzy wasn't that great to me coming out of Pitt. I think I'd take the shot on the freak athlete Guerrero is, but I get it. Your top tight ends right now. Then we'll hop to they'll hop to ownership. Then we'll hop to the solver. Brock Bowers, number 1, the pile of mayo behind me in the thumbnail. That is, in fact, Brock Bowers. If you don't recognize his face, that pile of mayo, though, probably the best tight end prospect we've had in football. I would say people might compare him to Kyle Pitts. He's better than Kyle Pitts ever was because of what he does. From just give him a 1-yard target, he's going to turn into something special. Kyle Pitts was never that guy. Bowers in this spot, they've talked this week about building the entire offense around him. When he's out there, they want to target him. Tampa Bay, bad pass defense overall. One of the teams that we've targeted a lot this year. So Brock Bowers, I've taken, I think, in pretty much every battle royale I did. In DFS, he's going to be a popular play, and he should be. He and Trey McBride are both very elite plays at their salary. And actually, let me see if I can just put receivers in here, and let's sort by salary just to kind of make a point. Why wouldn't it sort by salary? Why would it do the thing I'm asking it to do? All right, here we go. So you look at the projections here. So you have Brock Bowers mixed in with the other receivers. Bowers projects more highly than Garrett Wilson, than Devontae Adams, than George Pickens, than Malik Neighbors around the same salary. He projects higher than Cooper Kupp at a higher salary, Tyreek Hill at a higher salary, Mike Evans at a higher salary, and he's neck and neck with Puka Nacua at 7,700. So Brock Bowers, if you treat him like a wide receiver, he's still one of the best players on the slate. Same thing for McBride. McBride with that 18.1 projection, better than all the guys near him in projection. DK Metcalf, JSN, Drake London, Garrett Wilson, again, all the guys I just listed as well. McBride, just a fantastic price play as well at 6,100. Think there will be a good portion of lineups that do play McBride and Bowers together, both in good situations with good usage. But it's one of those things here for tight end this week. Tight end looks the best it has probably this entire season, and it does come down mostly to Bowers and McBride in terms of that high projection stuff. George Kittle, way behind those guys in projection. About 6 points is what you're giving up. You go down to Kittle at 5,800. But Kittle, leverage against some ownership going Juwan Jennings' way, leverage against Garendo chalk, whatever that's going to be. So Kittle has some merits, even though not the best. Should we sincere McCormick? Probably not. He'll probably get you 15 touches in the game. He had, I think, 12 run plays last time out, and they said they want to get him more. He could do it against Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's run defense is not as good as people think because they're like, oh, Vita Vea. It hasn't fucking mattered this year to have a big fat guy in the middle. That said, I don't think Sincere McCormick, is like a real play. I think he's a guy that you're talking great value version of what Alexander Madison has been doing. So if you want that production, you want a shot at a touchdown, I get it. I'd probably just play the more obvious value if you're going to go there. Jonnu Smith, your number 4 tight end, about 13 fantasy points of projection for him at 5,300. And David Njoku, about 12 fantasy points for him at 5,100. Looks like the play there. And Dalton Kincaid out again, of course. All right. Ownership up next here. Let's see what we got. Let me see if we got an update as well, because they did just run the projections again. Or they haven't updated ownership yet, but it was updated overnight about 11 hours ago. So look at the top ownership plays right now, according to Stochastic. So Alvin Kamara, they have at 46%. That is so much Alvin Kamara. That is so much Alvin Kamara. How is that possible? I don't think you can get Kamara that high. And I don't think you can get Saquon at 18. I still continue to not think that. So combined, these guys would have then 64% in the field paying at least $8K for an RB. I got to say, even though I don't love the idea of loading up as value RBs, because I think that's going to be a very obvious pivot, if you're going to have 2/3 of the field going to be playing on RB who's this expensive, either 9K Saquon, 8% Kamara, and I think it's possible that Kamara maybe could be high 30s, but Saquon still high 20s, low 30s. You could potentially be looking at like 70% of the field playing at least one really expensive RB. Tournament-wise, just trying to build around that, I think would be the move. Obviously, both guys in great spots, but that's a lot of Kamara ownership. I don't think it gets that high, but it probably will be then at least 33, maybe 40. Charbonnet at number 2 now, 42% ownership going his way. People will see the box scores he had without Walker. They're going to go there, I think. He'll be probably paired a lot with Barkley, with Kamara. If you think that Barkley and Kamara both hit, or one of them, you want to make the stand, you want to play a lot of those guys no matter what the chalk is, all that. Playing them with Charbonnet is probably to be really duped a lot. So go to Garendo at less ownership, go to Braylon Allen at even less ownership. Seems like it'd be the move, because this is going to be the way they save up to get that other RB in to play Charbonnet, would be my guess. Brock Bowers, no, it's not wrong, because there aren't values on the slate is really the main thing. You don't even have your fringe $3,500 play that people have been kind of playing a little bit too much lately. Your booties, your whoever else it's been in other weeks. So that's really the thing, is like they're going to save the money by pairing the high dollar RB with Charbonnet. That's, I think, pretty obvious. Every solver is spinning out Connor, Kamara, and Jags D. They're getting you off the price tag, the second RB, which makes sense. Injury updates earlier. They're both expected to play. I've already talked about them, I think. Or talked about Bucky. Pickens, though, as of about an hour ago, was going to play. Still probably tested out pregame. Same thing for Neighbors, but Neighbors, Pickens going to go, and Bucky's definitely going to go. He's been expected to go from yesterday. Brock Bowers, 26% ownership for him. He's been crushing. People will want to go there. Again, a lot of money being tied up here for the guys who are going to play Kamara / Barkley / Bowers. It's a lot of money spent up. That said, Bowers, as I just mentioned, projects better than every receiver, even within $1,500 of his price point. So just play Brock Bowers. I think he's the better chalk than the RB chalk, which sounds like a hot take. Jacoby Myers, 21% for him. He's been playing well. He is banged up, though. Think going to play today, but had a Q tag coming in. For Myers, he's been doing a good job. I still think it's weird that there's going to be naturally a lot of Vegas double stacks without a QB attached to it. Jacoby Myers as your sort of pay down option at receiver that's going to have good box score games lately. I think people will chase that, especially because Myers did well against like Denver. People are going to go, whoa, he beat up Denver. Of course he's going to kill versus this soft Tampa Bay defense. They'll see the DVP matchup and all that. But Myers here, it's a lot of Myers ownership. Garendo, 20% ownership for him, so he'll be another value play people pair with Kamara, with Barkley, and that's how that looks right now. Position by position here, then we'll go over to the solver optimizer next. Will Levis projected to be the chalk at QB, which I don't know if I buy that, but there's not a lot of the popular QBs. Usually here you don't have your Lamar, you don't have your AR, you don't have my precious Jaden Daniels. You're missing a lot of these core guys for week 14, so for Will Levis, he's coming in because it is technically a soft match against Jacksonville. You could beat up Jacksonville through the air. We've targeted against Jacksonville multiple times. I could do Levis, honestly, at 5K. I can live with that. It's a lot of ownership, though, for a shit QB. I will say that as well. And again, the fact that Jalen Hurts looms out here, they have Jalen Hurts at 3% ownership. I don't think it's that low, but like that's your pivot, is just playing an Eagle stack, honestly, you could play naked Hurts if you want to, but that's your way to get away from Saquon. So this to me looks underplayed. And in fact, people are paying down as well. They're now getting off the beaten path of elite QB. So Hurts and Allen, probably some utility here because you're fading the high dollar RBs at that point, and you're getting leverage on Levis putting up 15 to 20 potentially if he's playing well, 15 to 20. Sam Darnold, 10% ownership. Baker Mayfield, 8.5. Kyler Murray, 7.5. Aiden O'Connell, 7.5. I did pass over 300 yards in his return to the lineup. He's been sick this week, though, but should be fine to go. Good matchup on paper. And frankly, Vegas, since they fired their offensive coordinator, they've been a lot better. Running offensively, so O'Connell I can get with a 7.5. Let's see. How gross is Drew Lock? 1% owned. His price tag, or his projection, rather. Let's see. Projected for 13.7, so not a good projection. Honestly, at 4,700, you can take the shot. I have no issue with it. I do think Drew Lock runs for an anytime TD this week. That was a plus 425 line earlier in the week. Might have come down a little bit. But I like the shot at Drew Lock. Honestly, Mac Jones dropped back 20 times in the fourth quarter last game either. Tennessee's defense is not one you want to normally target against, but like he's dropping back an incredible amount here. So do not mind Mac Jones either conceptually. Really think you could dumpster dive a QB. If Will Levis is going to be chalk, if Darnold's going to be chalk, you can play whatever you want. If you have a vibe for a QB, knock yourself out. To me, I think the game theory for Jalen Hurts remains the strongest. Brock Purdy seems under-owned for some cheap value plays with him. I think there's unknown Max Jones. Unknown Mac Jones here. Cousins, if you want to lean into the revenge narrative, that's it. Tua has been playing well. He's only 5% owned. Jameis, tough spot against Pittsburgh. People won't want to play it naturally, but he just did a lot. I think he put a lot on tape against Denver, which is kind of tough. But he did just beat out a really good defense as well. So I think Jameis is not a bad play either. All right. Other positions real fast. Let me try to make up some time here. We know about RBs already. You got Kamara at 46%, Charbonnet at 42%, Garendo at 20%, Barkley allegedly at 18%. Think it's closer to 33%. Personally, Bucky Irving 13%, Najee Harris 13%, Braylon Allen the lowest owned of the value guys at 12.4% projected ownership. All right, wide receivers coming up next. Jacoby Myers, 21%. We talked about him. Juwan Jennings has come down a little bit since Friday, but still 19% expected to go his way. It's a good price tag on him. I just really do question if the Niners keep going and having success. Chicago's going the right way to me. I think they're going to really come together under Thomas Brown, the interim coach there. Will not shock me if Thomas Brown wins that job. People like him a lot in the NFL and on the Bears. I said it before. I still believe it. I think the Bears win this one outright. So Jennings can play well given that prism because he's probably in a competitive game script there. He's led the team in targets per route run by a wide margin over Debo, like 28% compared to 21 for Debo. So Jennings is chalk at this point. He's going to come up in a lot of lineups. I'll say that. Drake London, you're getting him at 19%. That's a lot of Drake London. Competitive games tend to be good for him the most, whereas games where there's one guy running away tends to do a little bit better for Darnell Mooney. But London, competitive game against Minnesota. I really do have questions about Cousins. I mentioned up top, but he's a valid enough play. Shout out Chad. I watched your video. Chad, of course, one of the guys at the Dog Bowl, Lee, and a bunch of numbers. But shout out to him. Shout out to Mathology, who was the only person brave enough to mention the Squirt Squad on the video that Underdog did on Friday. But yeah, Dog Bowl competing for 200K. So shout out to Chad. Shout out to Mathology. Hope one of the good guys takes that down. And I'm sure there's other people I'm not mentioning too who are in there. But somebody I like, please win that on behalf of yourself. Calvin Ridley, 18% ownership. Mike Evans, 15. A lot of chalk coming up here. And last but not least, well, I guess we'll look at defense too. But tight ends, Brock Bowers, 26% going his way. McBride, 19. Still love both guys, even though that's a lot of chalk. They are just elite tight end plays and, frankly, elite receiver plays relative to how those projections look for all the receivers around their price range. Cade Otton, 4,400, 12% ownership. TJ Hawkinson, 10% ownership for him at 4,300. Another valid play going against Jefferson ownership there. Hawkinson's basically getting targeted just as much as Jefferson is as well. Jonnu Smith rounded up to 10% and Njoku about 10% as well. And defense is here. You're going to see some chalk. Saints D coming up in a moment. Saints D, 19% ownership going against Drew Lock. I get it. Drew Lock. If Drew Lock couldn't get going against Dallas, I don't know how he gets going a lot better versus the Saints here. But Saints D is weak on paper. So you're really hoping the Drew Lock part of it is just him fucking up. I get it. The defense itself is not very good. Titans D, 10%. You're going against Mac Jones. I don't think Mac Jones screws up that much. And Tennessee's defense isn't great, but I get it. 49ers, 9% ownership here. Steelers, 7% ownership. Falcons, 5%. So these are chalk defenses here. No issue with the Saints, really. Defense, I never really care that much about. 49ers D, I don't think we're getting the Caleb that the projections are giving here. Caleb's been looking a lot better. Again, I think having Thomas Brown have full control is going to make this offense even better as well. To me, it's a spot where I would not want to go the Niners' way for anything, really. But at least the offensive skill players, like they have good price points, a reason to it. $3,100 for them, not really my move. Let's go to the solver next. Of course, if you want to build an optimizer and sim tool in one, check out the solver. Link in the description for that. Of course, stochastic, all the data I just showed you, and the sims tools I'll show you in a moment. Those are also available for 15% off. But let's look at the projections really fast here. ETR, top projected play on the week, is in fact Alvin Kamara, 25.1 compared to 24.95. So stochastic at least gives Saquon Barkley the courtesy of being projected higher. ETR is saying no, Kamara is straight away the better play. ETR users will get Barkley less as a result. So just one that to keep in mind amidst everything else. Jalen Hurts really highly projected from ETR as well. 23.2 fantasy points for him. Josh Allen, 23.2, a 0.02 difference between him and Jalen Hurts for ETR's projections. Sam Darnold, 20.3. Baker Mayfield, 20.3. Those guys are dead even. And Devin Achane, still pretty far behind here, even though not quite as far as he was on Stochastic. 20.01 fantasy points for him. Ownership that ETR has. They're also projecting Charbonnet for 46%, projecting Kamara for 35%, Garendo for 30%, Jennings for 30%, so much higher than Stochastic here. Myers for 26 and change, Bowers 25%, Braylon Allen they also have higher at 23%. They have Saquon the same 18%. I really, if I'm gonna die on one hill this week, it's that this ownership is like has to be almost 2x. It fucking has to be. Everything I know of DFS tells me that ownership is wrong, and neither site is changing it because their projections don't back it out. But like, there's just no chance. I would say, honestly, if you're going to run sims on the solver, on Stochastic, manually change that ownership projection to at least 25 for Saquon, if not 30. 18 is not going to give you accurate results in the sim. Pretty funny if Calcaterra steals 2 touchdowns. Yes, that's the thing though. Like we're saying it like it's a joke, but like in reality, that's what fucking DFS is. It's like it's all about everybody's going to go here. I talked about it earlier in the week. The Davis Maddock video that he did last week with Nerdy Tenor and Brick. A, every week it's a great video. B, one thing that Nerdy Tenor talked about is one of the most important DFS concepts you'll ever hear about in a video. He talked about equilibrium and the idea that right now for battle royales, you feel like equilibrium's been found, or basically every player is just trying to find the most plus EV ways to play lineups. That's what every player he feels like he's doing. And again, Nerdy Tenor is like one of the smartest guys I think is in this entire DFS space. His results show for it as well. It's the same thing now for ownership. I mean, it's always been the case for DraftKings too, like the last couple of years, but now especially same thing there. The ownership has been so efficient every time that like you have to make plays then where everybody's going one way, you just go the other way. Like that's what you do when the field's at equilibrium. They're doing everything that's plus EV. So like, yeah, play Calcaterra, play a Calcaterra Devontae Smith stack. If somehow that goes nuts with Jalen Hurts, you've won every tournament. Like people just can't grasp that. Like, yes, the easiest play is right there. Yes, it's a soft matchup, but like you don't play Saquon because that's not what DFS is. It's not just jam the chalk in and have a good time. It's like, listen to the data, listen to the Sims. I'll tell you, the Sims are not going to give you a lot of Saquon, but we'll see in a moment. It's definitely going to be higher. I agree. But like legit, this is one of the sharpest takes I think the chats have. Like Eddie Mush can never give a take like this. You can't think that way. And that's how so many people in DFS can't think when they're playing lineups. Like they just don't grasp that. It's like, it's not, you can play chalk. The Sims will tell you play good chalk. But when the projection's not there, the salary's crazy high and the lineups don't work, just play something else. Anyway, your cash game lineup as of 9:34 a.m. on the East Coast. We got Will Levis, Alvin Kamara, Braylon Allen, Mike Evans, Jacoby Myers, Juwan Jennings, Brock Bowers, and Zach Charbonnet with Jaguars D. So you're getting the rare Levis stacked up with or brought back with the Jaguars D going against him. Hard for me to play that in cash, but I think the salary works pretty well. It's 2,600. You can. In the top 25 lineups right now, you're getting 100% Alvin Kamara, 100% Juwan Jennings, 100% Zach Charbonnet, 100% Brock Bowers. So these guys are in all the top 25 lineups. That tells you that these guys are going to end up in more lineups naturally because of the projection, because of how the salary works. So if you wanted to get unique on the slate completely and get away from everything, you would fade Kamara, you would fade Jennings, you would fade Charbonnet, you'd fade Bowers. I'm not saying to do that, but that's just how to view DFS here. They come up naturally, they project well. Trying to leverage against them is one of the things you could do. Again, that concept of equilibrium and all that. All right. Game player stacks. 56% of these lineups have Myers and Bowers. Still feels like not the most plus EV move to do that in a tournament. Juwan Jennings, unless you're going to put the QB with it, then okay. We got Juwan Jennings, Isaac Guerrero, Alvin Kamara, Saints D. These guys are all coming up a lot here. So really common pairings, even in these top 25 with no stack boost. We're still getting O'Connell with Myers and Bowers a lot. So that's going to be owned more for tournaments than you would think too, would be my guess. But let's run 250 here. Let's run my stack settings as well. And let's put 3 uniques in here just to get a different swath of lineups. And we'll put the variants on as well, ETR's variants. And we're going to build 250 lineups and sim it out here to see what ETR thinks are the best sim lineups. We'll hop over to Stochastic next and go QB by QB. Avoid Saquon if you believe in the game script. Philly kicks Carolina's ass, like to the point that they're bringing in Gainwell. Maybe. Like, I think Barkley gets you 100 yards today. So, like, the issue is, like, 100 yards, as I said before, 100 yards gets you 10 points plus the bonus. So, let's say he gets 5 catches with that. You need at least 1 touchdown. Even that's only putting you low 20s. The established the million guys, Dink and Leone, were saying they think that for a tournament winning lineup, that Saquon probably needs 35 or so. So for that, you're talking 2 touchdowns at least, 100 yards plus the bonus, 5 for at least 50 in the receiving game. You're asking to do a lot in a game script that shouldn't be that competitive. It's weird. Like if this were the Lions, I would go, they're 100% going to try to get AJ Brown and Devontae Smith going today. That's not how the Eagles play things the same way. But like logistically, I really think they need to get AJ Brown going. Like, I don't know. I know I'm going to play some Jalen Hurts stack combos no matter what. Like that's absolutely my approach. If you want to take what I'm doing, great. If you want to fade me, please feel free to load up on your Saquon all you please. Hey, did you hit the like button yet? Hold on. This one. Gainwell hasn't done anything. He's taken touchdowns away from Saquon a few times where Saquon's been tired. Like, it can absolutely happen. There's also the game, too, where Barkley could have kept going, putting up more numbers against the Giants, and he allowed Sirianni to bring in Gainwell and do some stuff. So like, I think if the game's out of hand, it's entirely possible that he'll have his yardage. He could still be on pace to hit his 2,000 all-purpose yards that he needs to win for money. I think he cares a lot more about that than he does the record stuff that he could hit. I'm sure both matter, but I would think that the money is the big part for him. So he's going to get his 2,000 all-purpose yards no matter what. I think he could certainly yield to Gainwell along the way. Averages around 28 full PPR points. Bad news, James. It's not 35. It's still not 35. And again, you have to keep in mind, he's been beating expectations really handily the entire year. Like you could go through on social media, go through fantasy points data. His expected fantasy points have been like 8 to 9 points lower most weeks. So if you find the floor here, you are fucked. If you get 18 fantasy points from Barkley this week, you're done. Just can't be more clear about that. I know guys like James are dying to play Saquon, and I love you, James. You're one of the nicer Saquon guys I know in the chat. But just be aware of what you're going into. Oh my gosh. It's a football player, James. James, you're making me like you less. Your top sim ROI lineups. You can think whatever you want, James. Please play 100% Saquon. Follow your heart. Number one lineup, Jameis Winston, Alvin Kamara, Zach Charbonnet. James, I don't care. I really don't care about your take. I'm sorry. You got worse as you go on. It really, like, do we see the fucking, I feel like, you know, the Trump derangement syndrome, not making it fucking political here, but Trump derangement syndrome, it's Saquon derangement syndrome. Like, I can't point out enough every fucking data point. If you want to ignore it, knock yourself out, but you don't have to fucking take down the chat. We're just fucking doing that. Oh, unbelievable. We got Jameis, Alvin Kamara, Zach Charbonnet, Drake London, Jerry Jeudy, Elijah Moore, Brock Bowers, Johnny Smith, Saints D. Number 2, Baker Mayfield, Alvin Kamara again. Sincere McCormick coming in here. That's a surprise for me. Mike Evans. No, please don't do that in the chat. I have a quick trigger. Sterling Shepard, Jacoby Myers, Cade Otton, and James Conner, Saints D. No to get Spags for Christmas. If you want me to not wear a shirt, Spencer, then yeah, that's the way to do it. Number 3, Baker again. Wow, Baker is up a lot on ETR. Baker, Kamara, Najee Harris, Mike Evans, Sterling Shepard, DK Metcalf, Cade Otton, Zach Charbonnet, Saints D. Number 4, we got a Kyler Murray team. Kyler with Kamara, Charbonnet, Ridley, Harrison, Cooper, David Njoku, Trey McBride, Niners D. So again, that Cardinals double, I think that's an interesting one to see. I like that a lot. Njoku I'm less crazy about, but the double looks pretty good. Fuck off. Get the fuck out of here. Fuck you and your fucking 2-year-old. I don't give a shit. Going Andrew, are you 70? That fucking guy hasn't been in the public eye in 33 years. Jesus Christ. I hate the Sundays. Aiden O'Connell team. We're skimming through here for other QBs. Aiden O'Connell, Saquon Barkley. There we go. He makes the lineup. Bucky Irving, Brian Thomas Jr., Sterling Shepard, Debo. Why do you think I give a shit? I'm here to just talk about how I view his slate. I have a 2-year-old too. You know what? I curse in front of him because you fucking teach your kid don't say the same things I'm saying. It's not that deep. His 3-year-old wants to play DFS. His fucking 3-year-old needs to go fuck himself. Really, go, please. I love my 3-year-old. Your 3-year-old, I couldn't care less about. Sorry. Deebo Samuel, Brock Bowers, Dice Clay. You kidding me? There's got to be people who curse now. Zach Charbonnet, Falcons D. That's a team. I don't feel great about it. My kids love play shit. There we go. Uncle Spags for Robert Griffin III. The clowns aren't getting to me. I'm just like, it saps my joy a little bit. But, you know, I do this for 240 people watching. Look. If you like my Andrew Dice Clay ribald style of humor, please make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. Fucking Sundays, we get the dregs here. But if you're watching this video and you aren't going to be stupid like that, you're not the dregs, and I appreciate you for it. So hit the like button. We got a double stack of Geno Smith here. Geno with Kamara, Zach Charbonnet, Jacoby Myers, JSN, Deebo Samuel, Cade Otton, James Conner, Falcons D. Don't mind this one. Did like the Murray lineup more, though. Even though, honestly, the Arizona defense is a softer defense, I'd rather go to Kyler Murray at this point. Caleb Williams, this is too much. This is way too many Bears. But Caleb Williams, Alvin Kamara, Zach Charbonnet, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Romo Dunze, Brock Bowers, Isaac Guerrero, Saints D. Got an Aaron Rodgers lineup up here. Rodgers, Bucky Irving, Braylon Allen, Mike Evans, Sterling Shepard, Devontae Adams, Brock Bowers, Charbonnet, Eagles. So this is it. Basically, a lot of Baker Mayfield. Baker coming up a ton for ETR. Winston being your number one ROI guy. You're getting Charbonnet a lot in these top lineups. You're getting Kamara, really a lot of Kamara. You're not getting a lot of Saquon. Oh no, I must have biased the solver against him. You're getting a lot here. Even like a Spags. Thank you. I appreciate it. Look, I do the work here. Just fucking unbelievable. Dice just made you hit the like. Yeah. Hey, what are we doing? Little Miss Muffets and the Tuffet. Oh, fuck. Get the fuck out of here. I was fucking like 5 when Andrew Dice Clay was at the peak of his fame, and you give me that as a reference. Unfucking believable. Chats on Sundays. 1 week, it's somebody calling me pimp over and over again and asking me to fucking hand build lineups for him. I can't. The Sunday shows just end up a fucking debacle for you no matter what. All right, let's build 10,000 lineups on Stochastic. Let's see what we get. Now here, Matt's got a tournament brain. You want to zig when everyone's zags today? Play Titans, Pollard, Ridley, etc. I mean, Titans D will be owned. That's going to be chalky, but yeah, playing Pollard with Titans D works. Playing Ridley's also going to be pretty chalky. So really, I don't think you're zigging. now that I've read it out loud. Playing all 3, though, I think will be more unique. People will play 1, 2. That's basically it. Oh, has Dice made a resurgence? He did too back in the Opie and Anthony days, but no, that's it. Missed the old show, Mr. Spags, neighborhood in the red sweater. Yeah, I think there's never been a single stream where I haven't cursed 1 to 5 times. I talk like a human being here. I don't want to be no disrespect to the fantasy flock who changed his voice to be a normal guy again, but that's not what you're getting here. You're getting a guy. You're getting a guy in a money hat. That's what you're getting. Chef Robert Griffin III, or tip your dealer. They put up with a lot of caca. We do indeed. Me and all the dealers out there. Chicago Onslaught surprised me, actually. Can't see even getting that close to working. I agree. The Moore and Allen part, I can take that shot. Even honestly, Allen Odunze, Moore Odunze, I can take the shot. Niners D is like really not good anymore. They're giving up plus EPAs per drop back per pass. That's never been a Niners staple. Everything about the Niners to me just screams the team going the wrong way. But look, I get it. All right, let's run the contest simulation now. We'll see what we get. Do you think the Sims aren't getting to Barkley? His ownership will come in closer to that 18%? No, because the casual players who just hand build lineups, and again, you've seen it in the chat for me for like months now. People are just going to jam in Saquon. Like that's what it's going to be. Like they're going to ignore the data. They're going to look at stuff. They're going to ignore the fact that he's overperformed. They're like, it just is what it is, especially because it's Carolina. Like Carolina's going to give them the little green DVP fucking thing they need to see as well. Like he'll get played 30%, no matter what. If he's under 30, I'll go, man, I can't believe he's under 30. I'll still, nothing else will be that. Oh, thank you, Mahomie. Look, I mean, at the end of the day, if you're putting on a show, it says specifically not for kids on the stream, so I can't be more clear about that. We honestly, it's funny too, because like we legit have like 2 3-year-olds in the house right now because one of Luca's friends from daycare is over. So I'm loaded up with 3-year-olds here. And look, I'm probably not gonna, not gonna show them this content. This is how we go. Hand built 11 lineups, and just because of this show, locked in at 0 Barkley. I do use ETR projections, so yeah, ETR is not going to give you them. But look, you don't have to play 0 Barkley. I just think, just make your choice intelligently. That's all I ever care about with fantasy football. With best ball drafting, with DFS lineups, just make a smart choice. Like that's all. And make a choice that you know what's going on, not just one where you're blindly going. And you can say the same thing about me, but like I actually look at Barkley data and I look at the price and I understand how DFS works. Like it's not the same as just people think I'm like fading Barkley because of me digging my heels in. In reality, it's like, I think, yeah, he's greatly overperformed, but it's also that he's fucking $9,000. If he were the same 8K as Kamara, I'd be, hey, Saquon Barkley, lock and load. 9K, you're objectively hurting your lineups a little bit. Always be uninformed and click names, there we go. Just play Georgia guys, I think is really it. Interest in Swift? Yes, I think Swift's an interesting play today for sure. Getting direct leverage on Garendo, nice in Battle Royales because he's free on there as well. And have the Q tag all week. So, yes, Swift's an interesting play to me. Obviously, it's hard to ignore the fact you have 5 really well-projected RBs up top, that you can play, whether it be your Barkley, Kamara, or the value guys with Braylon Allen, Garendo, and whoever the 5th one is, Charbonnet. Like you have that there that's really obvious, but to me, the guys that won't get played as much that are probably worth it. H.N. Swift, I think, are 2 that jump out. Bucky Irving would be another one, though I bet he picks up a little bit more ownership than expected as well. There's ways to go. Like I fully think there are ways to go that are not the very obvious stuff. Ram stack versus Bills. Andrew, I think that's a clever one too. We'll see what we have here in a moment or two, but that's basically it. I think it's a good play, really. It's high price, though. It's expensive to get there. So you're going to have to fade. You're going to have to fade the RBs in that game if you're going to go there. Or the RBs, rather, the top RBs in general on the slate. All right, top lineups here according to Stochastic. We're getting Baker again here. So Baker stacks probably a lot more live than I felt looking at the projections. Baker with Bucky Irving, Zach Charbonnet, Mike Evans, Malik Neighbors, Juwan Jennings, TJ Hockenson, Garendo, and Niners. That is a clean lineup. I still don't believe in Garendo and the Niners, but you can play that here. It's fine. Sundays are fun here. Fun for maybe for the viewers. I hope so. For me, less so. And America's smart. I won't read the rest, Scott, but yes, so smart. We love America. Matthew Stafford, Alvin Kamara, Zach Charbonnet, Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp. Here's your Stafford double. Jacoby Myers, Chigakonkwo. I would have a really hard time playing Chigakonkwo over the good tight ends on the slate, but again, it's Jacksonville's defense going against them. I get it. That's a tough one, though. Garendo and Titans. We got Will Levis, Alvin Kamara, Braylon Allen, Malik Neighbors, Jerry Jeudy, Calvin Ridley, Trey McBride, Zach Charbonnet, and Titans D. Number 4 is Tua, Alvin Kamara, Zach Charbonnet, Tyreek, Jacoby Myers, Juwan Jennings, Jonnu Smith, Isaac Garendo again, Raiders D. So I got to say Garendo, Stochastic loves Garendo. Stochastic seems to love Myers a little bit. Jennings, definitely they love. That is a lot. Number 5, Aiden O'Connell, Garendo, Braylon Allen, Puka Nacua, Garrett Wilson, Jacoby Myers, Brock Bowers, Trey McBride, and Raiders. That one's okay. Feels a little bit dupier. I guess if you're putting Raiders D in it, that makes you more unique. Garrett Wilson, though, hard to click at this point. All right, overall in the top 150, your highest ROI players right now. Greg Dulcich, Theo Johnson out with the foot injury. Greg Dulcich getting a lot of, that's a high ROI for Dulcich, but only 2 fantasy points projected. He has minimum salary. Dulcich has had a ceiling before. Neighbors is questionable. I get the logic on Dulcich, but I imagine you're not getting a lot of exposure, even with that high ROI. Malik Neighbors at number 2, 8% ROI for him. $600 salary, that works. I like Neighbors, the Q-tag stuff. The hip injury does scare me a little bit. But they say they're not going to call him off. If he can politic to play today, he's going to be able to go and should be close to full go. It sounded like this morning, so we'll hope that's the case. Shout for these nice chats as well after dealing with some of the weirdos. Appreciate these ones. Love the content. Thank you for that, Dean. This is actually an interesting one. There's a nice one about me before that I lost. Thank you for the nice chats. When is the last time we saw a 9K player in a winning lineup? We haven't in a while. The last time would be Christian McCaffrey. And McCaffrey was like a player where he was getting so many PPR points that it was like a different situation entirely. Still think Saquon is like as close as we've had to that in a while in terms of how he keeps getting there every week. But like McCaffrey had nothing to critique at him. Like he got up to 10K a couple of years ago when he was still on the Panthers and was getting tons of checkdowns. That's kind of the player where it was like, you can't fail. Saquon's still like, I know people don't want to hear it, but he has like fail outcomes relative to a 9K salary. McCaffrey getting 10 targets a game and running 15 times. Like there were not really a lot of fail outcomes. And yeah, due for a stinker is not a data point, but he is due for a stinker. And he's had a couple this year too. He's had a couple under 10 fantasy point games. So people want to ignore that. I get it. Your top ROI guys besides Neighbors, Charbonnet 1.8, McBride 0.8, everybody else negative, Ridley close to positive, Jacoby Myers close to positive, Will Levis close to positive. Stack ROIs, QB plus 1, Will Levis has a 3.6% ROI. Everything else is much lower. So Levis, single stacks, those are playable. QB plus 2, you're getting Aiden O'Connell, 8% ROI, Drew Lock at 6%, Geno at 1.1%. So those are your 3 guys looking good in a double stack right now, according to Stochastic data. And number 3, QB plus 3 here, 16% Jameis on a triple stack. Who would be in a triple? I guess Njoku, Judy, and more. Yeah, all right. Honestly, Jameis stacks, I thought people would play them more this week. Doesn't seem like the data supports that very much. Geno Smith, 14%. Brock Purdy, 6.4%. Baker Mayfield, 4%. A lot of positive ROIs to go around. The Baker one is a revelation to me, though. I got to say, got to play Baker, I think, on the slate a little bit based on what we've seen today. I guess, honestly, if Bucky's banged up, too, that probably does help Baker out a little bit more. Game theory, if you don't play Barkley, should you be playing Kamara? I think a good amount of people will fade the price point entirely and just go to the cheap RBs, the 3 guys we talked about, Braylon Allen, Garendo, and Charbonnet. They'll go there. I think a lot of people will also go to the cheap RBs with one of the high dollar RBs as well. I think the ownership would be lower because we did talk about there being about 70% of the field that's going to play one of Barkley, one of Kamara, based on my guess. And also, honestly, the ownership already has it at that. So I would say probably playing neither would be your move because you're getting to a part of the field 30% not playing either of the pay up options at RB. But then you have a low owned Achane there. So I think game theory wise, I think you would just go to low owned Achane. Because if 70% of the field's going to be there, but they're going to play a different guy at your price point, I think it's Achane. But I honestly, both have merits. Like you could get away from that entire chunk of high dollar RBs and be with 30% of the field if you just don't pay up for anybody over 8K, or you could lean into that and play somebody who's not as owned. But those would be sort of the main ways you try to go against it, I think. And especially if you could somehow pair it with an Eagle stack, I think that'd be great. Your top exposed players right now, Charbonnet in 85% of the top 150 lineups, so about double that. Kamara, 58% compared to 45. Who's Carr throwing to today? He is throwing to Kevin Austin Jr. and MVS, and I think Cedric Wilson is still out there, but Kevin Austin Jr. projects okay. Kamara, 58% compared to 45, so they want you to be over on Charbonnet, over on Kamara. Trey McBride, 43% compared to 22, so 2x the field on Trey McBride. Jacoby Myers, 44% compared to 24. Garendo, 35% compared to 21. Jennings, 31% compared to 18. And Saints D, 29% compared to 20. Where's Saquon Barkley at? Let's know. Saquon Barkley, oh no, is Stochastic also biased against Saquon? 15% exposure for Saquon compared to the field's 19. So they're saying basically what I've said, which is that play some Saquon strategically in lineups if you want, but ultimately you don't want to be with the field here. And this is also assuming, by the way, there's 19%. If it's 28%, I would guess this goes down even further. So there's one thing to keep in mind here. So Jalen Wright season, probably not. Probably not. You still have Achane though. You need Achane out to really reliably play. Jalen Wright, I wouldn't go that way personally, but if Achane got hurt, you could maybe luck into that. Thoughts on Tua, Achane, and Smith doubles? Jets is overrated. I don't hate it. I think Achane, as I mentioned, you're getting a lot of Achane questions here. I think Achane's a really good play because he's really going to be the one that's not owned as much amidst these 8K players overall. Let me just see the ownership real fast for Achane. I assume they have him under 10%, which you have two RBs I expect to be 33 to 50. I think Achane makes sense. Achane they have at 7% expected ownership, so not a lot going Achane's way. All right, guys, we got to go QB by QB here, but I don't know. We don't have a ton of time, so I'm going to have to go late today. But let's go QB here. Let's start with the Raiders. Raiders getting 20.3 implied points. Aiden O'Connell lineups, your top ones right now. You have Mostert out, but it's still not enough workload. Mostert himself wasn't getting enough work with Achane lately. It's just not enough. It's not a true RB split like Tampa Bay or something. You're looking at 10 touches max. It's not enough to get there for right. I really would encourage not to play that in DFS tournaments unless you're doing a 150 set and get in some of the mini max or something. But sure, I turned on the fade Saquon slider. That's what I did. Just to really deceive people about what a great play Saquon is. Aiden O'Connell, Isaac Garendo, Braylon Allen, Puka Nacua, Garrett Wilson, Jacoby Myers, Brock Bowers, Trey McBride, Raiders. That's your top Aiden O'Connell lineup. Number 2 is O'Connell again with Kamara, Charbonnet, Brian Thomas Jr., Jerry Jeudy, Jacoby Myers, Brock Bowers, Trey McBride, Jaguars D. Number 3 is O'Connell with Saquon. There you go. Saquon, Charbonnet, Justin Jefferson, Jacoby Myers, Juwan Jennings, Brock Bowers, Juwan Johnson. Juwan Johnson, one of the value play as a tight end. That's vaguely interesting, though he has had no rapport with Carr this year. Hasn't even gotten a red zone target, but Juwan Johnson was getting more downfield targets last week because they just have nobody left at receiver. So Juwan Johnson, I don't think is really a play. I'd play him over Chig, though, I think. Baker Mayfield stacks we saw some of already. We'll look at a few more here. Going to go in QB by QB. Bucks have 26.8 implied points. Baker Mayfield, Bucky Irving, Zach Charbonnet, Mike Evans, Oblique Neighbors, Juwan Jennings, Hawkinson, Garendo, Niners. Number 2 is Baker again with Kamara, Charbonnet, Mike Evans, Calvin Ridley, Juwan Jennings, Cade Otton, Isaac Garendo, and Saints. I like the different doubles. Honestly, Baker teams look fun. Number 3 is Baker, Bucky, Braylon Allen, Mike Evans, Calvin Ridley, Elijah Moore, Trey McBride, Isaac Garendo, and Titans. Baker teams, man, popping up on ETR, popping up here. They look good. They're well built. I don't know if they scream out to me like Caleb teams have, like some of those ones. Honestly, Wilson last week too, but we talked about on here. not popping up like that where you're getting really great plays and it's just the stack has to hit. These Baker teams are pretty well-rounded, so I'll give them that. Shout out to Matt. Matt's already a paying member, but I appreciate this. Love the show, Spags. Thanks for the work. Thank you for watching. Thank you guys for bearing with me here amidst the weird Sunday chats. I appreciate all you guys even more when we get the weirdos. But you guys know the deal here. I do the work Monday to Friday and Sundays at 9 a.m. here. So show some love. Hit the like button, subscribe before you go. And of course, make sure to check out the sponsor before you go as well. Stochastic, 15% off. Link in the description for their data and tools. The solver, link in the description as well. And if you want to go to unabated too, get some betting data, get in some prop bets, some pick'ems for NFL. Use their market-based data. $30 off the promo code SPLASH at unabated too. All right. Mac Jones lineups. Mac Jones with Saquon, Charbonnet. So you're spending down enough with Mac Jones so you can afford Saquon here. I think that's fine. If you're paying down at QB, playing Saquon gets a lot easier. Charbonnet, Khalil Shakir. So for you people that are dead set on playing him, try to go to a cheap stack. It seems like that makes the teams a lot more workable based on the ROIs. Khalil Shakir, Brian Thomas Jr., Jacoby Myers, Evan Ingram, Trey McBride, and Jaguars. Number 2 is Mac Jones, Alvin Kamara, Garendo, Drake London, Brian Thomas Jr., Calvin Ridley, Evan Ingram, Trey McBride, Falcons. So you are getting Ingram here stacked up with Jones and Brian Thomas as well, who has a hard time hitting with Mac Jones. Mac Jones is dropping back enough that it could hit. I just don't think he can feed the outside receiver well enough to really want to go crazy on Brian Thomas Jr. But number 3 is Mac Jones, Alvin Kamara, Charbonnet, Darnell Mooney, Garrett Wilson, Brian Thomas Jr., Ingram, Kupp, Falcons. I don't like these teams as much as I thought I would. Really thought Mac Jones would give me a little more to like just based on his price tag and his stack partners. Not really it for me. Will Levis teams could be fun. We got Will Levis, Alvin Kamara, Braylon Allen, Malik Neighbors, Jerry Jeudy, Calvin Ridley, Trey McBride, Zach Charbonnet, Titans. That is a fun team. That you're getting your value RBs. You got legit receivers with it. We have no Cedric Tillman again, so Jeudy potentially going off one more time can happen. Number 2, you get Levis, Barkley, Najee Harris, Malik Neighbors, Drake London, Ridley, Juwan Johnson, Charbonnet, Titans. Giving up a little bit of tight end to get to Saquon here, but I don't hate that team either. Levis, Saquon, Braylon Allen, Calvin Ridley, Jacoby Myers, Juwan Jennings, Trey McBride again, Garendo, and Cardinals. We're getting a lot of McBride, a lot of the cheap RBs, and Saquon again here. I like the first Levis team the most, not because of the Saquon part. Just you play Saquon, the team does get appreciably worse, and that's another one of the reasons that he's a tough click today, even though people are going to jam him in. Derek Carr up next. Hey, I don't look, Stochastic is a great fucking site. I appreciate it. But for this video, look, I do something different. I think they have a lot of merit. Please watch the deeper dive after this one. Laffy and Ben always do a great job. Live Before Lock guys also too. I love Stochastic, so please don't make it a me versus them thing. Neil Orfield, go support Neil over Stochastic if you want. But me, I just do my thing here and hope people pay me money to do shows and affiliate fees. Derek Carr teams. We got Derek Carr, Kamara, Zach Charbonnet, Justin Jefferson, Mike Evans, Malik Neighbors, Juwan Johnson, Foster Moreau, Bucks D. Number 2, Derek Carr, Saquon, Alvin Kamara, Jefferson, MVS, Kevin Austin. This is a fun fucking team. This is a holy shit. Play this team. You want to play Saquon? Play this one. Derek Carr just needs to hit a double stack with it. But like honestly though, like Kamara hitting, that can happen. You have to have New Orleans putting up a lot of points against the Giants. I don't know that they do. That's fun, man. These guys probably don't hit. MVS and Kevin Austin probably don't, but that is a sick team. You're getting everything in that one. Derek Carr, Kamara, Bijan, Neighbors, Drake London, Jacoby Myers, Evan Ingram, Juwan Johnson, Raiders. This one's a lot easier to hit. This one is a lot easier execution. But man, just paying down for 2 receivers and a QB, and you get a loaded team with it. That Derek Carr team, not in the top 150 either. Derek Carr is one of those QBs this week that makes a lot more appealing lineups than he should. Drew Lock maybe will as well. 3 lineups in the top 150 ROI for Drew Lock, and they are Drew Lock with Alvin Kamara, Tyrone Tracy. Lock and Tracy both hitting a little bit tough with Neighbors as well. Feel like they would take away the running touchdowns and Neighbors wouldn't get there then. But George Pickens in this one, Juwan Jennings, Hawkinson, Zach Charbonnet, Steelers D. Number 2 is Drew Lock, Saquon Barkley, Charbonnet, Neighbors, Jeudy, Jacoby Myers, Johnny Smith, Juwan Jennings, and Seahawks D. You're not giving up a lot to get to the Lock Neighbors stack. That's not a bad lineup. Drew Lock, Charbonnet, Braylon Allen, Mike Evans, Malik Neighbors again, Drake London, Brock Bowers, Garendo Niners. These are good teams. The Drew Lock, Derek Carr teams, quietly very fun. Not the highest total in that game, but still not good defenses. So I could play those, honestly. The Carr one, that Carr one is sick, though. All right. Number one ROI lineup for Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, Alvin Kamara, Zach Charbonnet, Devontae Adams, Garrett Wilson, Juwan Jennings, Evan Ingram, Guerrero, Niners. This is pretty clean. You just need the Jets double to hit. A little bit weird to maybe not have the bring back of Achane on it, but it can. That's not a bad team. And I do know ETR loved Devontae Adams, at least in Battle Royales. There's getting a ton of Devontae Adams in the Battle Royales using the Solvers tool and ETR's projections. Number two, Aaron Rodgers again, Guerrero, Charbonnet, Devontae Adams, Garrett Wilson, DK Metcalf, Brock Bowers, Trey McBride, Raiders. That's another solid team. Aaron Rodgers, Kamara, Charbonnet, Jefferson, Adams, Wilson, Ingram, Johnson, Jaguars. These are lineups I like a lot. You really just need the stack to hit. I know it sounds very simplistic, but when you get like a lot of the best players in, you just need a unique stack to hit with its core receivers. Those are teams that are always much better plays. Even though Aaron Rodgers stacks are lighting money on fire, that's pretty sick. I can't see myself moving away from AOC stacks today. It looks like it's going to be chalky. That's the one thing I'll warn you about Aiden O'Connell. Like, because people are naturally going to get Myers and Bowers a lot, they're going to get O'Connell more than they probably should. But I don't think it's a bad play, so I get it. Thanks, man. You're a subscriber to the channel. I don't care. I don't care about your takes. One thing you have to learn real fast here is if you're going to be a dick to me, I don't care about you. So like you care more about me than I care about you, guy who just got banned and made a fake account. Number one is Tua Tagovailoa, Alvin Kamara, Zach Charbonnet, Tyreek Hill. I've also won more than you probably have ever even seen in your life. Like, you keep that in mind too. I do this as a courtesy because I like doing content. But fuck off. Charbonnet, Tyreek Hill, Jacoby Myers, Juwan Jennings, Jonnu Smith, Isaac Guerrero, Raiders D. Number two, Tua Tagovailoa, Isaac Guerrero, Zach Charbonnet, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. Yeah, the immediate burners too, where it's a brand new handle and it waited 5 minutes to get back in. Pathetic. That's why, guys, the most muted channel here, me and Davis Matic are just muting everybody because you can tell right away. Even like that dude Eddie Mush, the moment I saw the guy posted, I'm like, oh, you're just a troll, but you like what I'm saying, so you want to be here. But it's like, I just don't need trolls ever. I don't need chats. I can just by myself. That's defense. Saints D right now in terms of the projection and ownership. Titans D not that far off, but those are the chalk defenses. There's really no best defense player ever you want, but Saints seem pretty good going against Drew Lock. Guys, dedicated. They all are. They all. I mean, look, I've been dealing with a lot lately because as the channel's growing, that's what happens. And I've also made popular stands against people that people love. Players people love, but yeah, just you got to deal with it. Tua, Alvin Kamara, your number 3 ROI lineup. Bucky Irving, Jacoby Myers, Jalen Waddle, Elijah Moore, Trey McBride, Zach Charbonnet, Browns. All right, those are your Tua teams. I'm honestly not wowed by them. I think the cheap QBs stood out to me a little bit more. Again, going QB by QB here, so bear with me. We got to do Bryce Young with his 15.8 implied points. Listen, if Bryce Young were to somehow hit, boy, you'd really get a lot of leverage on the field, I'll tell you that. Bryce Young, Kamara, Zach Charbonnet, Drake London, Deebo Samuel, Adam Thielen, Trey McBride, Guerrero, and Saints. I don't like that you're getting London and Deebo with this. It's okay. I feel like I would like to have the clean chalk here with Bryce Young for it to go that way. Number 2 would be Bryce Young, still a slightly positive ROI. Bucky Irving, Najee Harris, AJ Brown, Adam Thielen, David Moore, Brock Bowers, Charbonnet, and Steelers. And number 3 here, Bryce Young, Najee Harris, Zach Charbonnet, Puka Nacua, Jordan Addison, Xavier Leggett, Brock Bowers, Trey McBride, and Steelers. The Bryce team should be better. Honestly, like I did like a lot of these other cheap QB teams. These ones, not doing it for me. All right, Jalen Hurts, you want to get your Saquon leverage. Here's your way to do it. So no Jalen Hurts lineups in the top 150 ROI. That's crazy to me. That's it. We got Jalen Hurts, Najee Harris, Zach Charbonnet, AJ Brown, Justin Jefferson, Jacoby Myers, Grant Calcaterra, Juwan Johnson, and Saints. Not the most fun team in the world, but that will get you unique for sure. Calcaterra, if he picks up those 2 touchdowns, like, you know, is it going to happen? No. Can it happen in the world of outcomes of DFS? That's it. That's an interesting team. This one, Hurts, Kamara, Charbonnet, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith. I like this one more. Jacoby Myers, Calcaterra, Juwan Johnson, Saints. So you're hitting the triple here. This is saying that Saquon doesn't even score enough points. You would vault over the field if this hits, if this triple stack hits, because Saquon, that probably means Saquon gave like 10 to 15 fantasy points and had a dud, and these guys went off. Don't think that's likely to happen here. I still think Saquon gives you a usable day no matter what. It's hard for you to imagine not giving you 15 to 20. But if there were a world where he doesn't even hit that, it's because a triple stack hit. Number 3 would be Jalen Hurts, Guerrero, Charbonnet, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Elijah Moore, Jonnu Smith, David Njoku, and Seahawks. There we go. Burner counts on the one guy who joined all slate BPM drafts. No. We got different trolls now. It's different trolls for DFS, different trolls for Saquon. But really, there's always a troll to be had somewhere, and that's life. I just have to get used to it. Not everybody's going to like you. Well, it was a point in my life, wanted everybody to like me. Now it's like, I just want to do my content. You come along for the ride. I love you. If you don't, a million channels. Please feel free to watch something else. Your Kirk Cousins team's up top. You want to play some Cousins revenge? Here's your options. Cousins, Bucky Irving, Zach Charbonnet, Devontae Adams, Drake London, Jacoby Myers, Trey McBride, Darnell Mooney, and Falcons. I don't love it. I just don't love the Cousins concept overall, but we can go. Cousins, Aaron Jones, Charbonnet, Jefferson, Malik Neighbors, Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Garendo, and Giants. Number 3 is Cousins, Barkley, Charbonnet, Garrett Wilson, Drake London, Kevin Austin Jr., Brock Bowers, Garendo, and Falcons D. These Cousins teams don't do it for me. I think there is a game theory logic to Cousins, but just visually, I just don't think he's that guy. I really don't. I don't think he's that guy to beat out this Vikings D. Darnold teams with Minnesota getting 25.8 implied points, 6 more than Atlanta. Darnold, Kamara, Charbonnet, Jefferson, Jacoby Myers, Juwan Jennings, Hockenson, Garendo, Seahawks. That's a clean team. I could see why Darnold's going to pick up some ownership. That looks really nice. Darnold, Garendo, Charbonnet, Jefferson, Calvin Ridley, Elijah Moore, Brock Bowers, McBride, and Titans. Number 3 is Darnold, Barkley, so you do get a Saquon here. Amir Abdullah, I probably wouldn't play this week with Sincere McCormick, seemingly in line for even more work than he had last week. Jefferson, Judy, Addison, Hockenson, Charbonnet, Raiders. Darnold triple is also tough to expect to hit here. That first Darnold lineup I liked. Second one I liked a little bit less. Third one I liked a little bit less. The Darnold teams are certainly in play. There's going to be a lot of them in the top 150, though. You got like at least 10 in the top 150, so Darnold will not sneak up on sim users for sure. Jameis lineups. Yeah, not much Aaron Jones this week. He has lost a lot of work to Cam Akers lately, so Jones is a tough click for me at this point, but he can get 2 touchdowns, I think is certainly possible. But on a week with so many good RB plays, like Aaron Jones is not one that I'm like, this is the guy we got to get to. Your Jameis Winston lineups, you have Jameis with Kamara, Bucky Irving, Jerry Jeudy, Calvin Ridley, Elijah Moore, Trey McBride, Charbonnet, and Saints. Meh. Jameis with Kamara, Charbonnet, Neighbors, Jeudy, Moore, Kittle, Garendo, Niners. That's a lot of Niners. I'm not sure I believe in that. Winston with Kamara, Charbonnet, Moore, Jeudy, Ridley, Njoku, Puka, and Titans. Triple feels tough to hit against the Steelers, especially without a bring back. I think this one with Winston, Kamara, Charbonnet, Pickens, Jeudy, Jennings, Njoku, McBride, Saints, this one looks the best. That's a really fun lineup. Might get duped at 50K. That's a fun lineup. If you're going to play Jameis, I'd play one more like that. Russell Wilson up next with the Pittsburgh Steelers getting 25.3 implied points. We got Russ with Bucky, Charbonnet, Pickens, Drake London, Jacoby Myers, Jonnu Smith, Trey McBride, and Falcons D. We also have Russell Wilson with Kamara, Charbonnet, Pickens, Jacoby Myers, Mooney, Freiermuth, McBride, and Steelers D. And number 3, you have Wilson with Allen, Charbonnet, Jefferson, Pickens, Jeudy, Bowers, Jennings, and Raiders. These aren't bad. These aren't bad teams. I don't know about Freiermuth. I guess it's a 2 tight end lineup. I could do that. These aren't bad, though. Good chalk. Nice stacks with it. Probably means it's the week to play Jones. If people aren't talking about him, maybe. Look, I mean, you can play a ton of RBs that won't have ownership on him, and Jones is certainly one of them. Geno Smith. Seattle getting 20.8 implied points. Geno with Kamara, Zach Charbonnet, Drake London, JSN, DK Metcalf, K. Dotton, Juwan Jennings, and Saints. Don't mind that one, but it's not great. Should be worried about Bucky's accumulating boo-boos. I wouldn't be. In DFS, I could see being worried about it a little bit more. He plays through everything, but it's a lot. I still don't think it's going to hurt the workload or, the snap share he gets, but you run a faint risk of him getting hurt mid-game and taken out. So I wouldn't go crazy on playing Bucky for that reason, but I'd still play him in lineups where like you have that 6,600 or whatever, and he works. Like he's still a great RB play. It's just you have a little more downside risk than you probably normally would with him. Number 2 would be Geno, Najee Harris, Zach Charbonnet, DK Metcalf, Malik Neighbors, JSN, Juwan Johnson, Cooper Kupp, and Steelers. And number 3 is Geno, Kamara, Charbonnet, Metcalf, Ridley, Juwan Jennings, McBride, Garendo, and Titans. Garendo is just getting in every. Garendo and Jennings are in like every lineup. You make a case to me to just take those guys out of the stochastic sim pool and just not play them because they are in everything. They make everything work in a way where they're either great plays or they are going to kill a lot of lineups tonight. Number 1 ROI lineup for Kyler Murray. Kyler with Isaac Guerendo, Braylon Allen, Malik Neighbors, Drake London, Juwan Jennings, Bowers, McBride, and Falcons. Would like to get to the double with this. Murray can certainly hit in a single stack, but I think you're going to get duped a lot more if you don't play the double. Kyler with Kamara, Charbonnet, Neighbors, Marvin Harrison Jr., Moore, Ingram, McBride, Jags D. Yeah, I don't mind that one. That's kind of fun. Murray, Kamara, Braylon Allen, London, Ridley, Jennings, McBride, Charbonnet, and Titans. The one with Harrison McBride is my favorite here. I think just that's the way that Kyler wins the tournament for you is those guys both put up 20 to 25 and Kyler gives you 20 to 25 on top of that. Maybe he runs for one in addition to a good passing day. I think Kyler's got some opportunity. Cardinals are unpredictable. That's true. They really play up and down seemingly randomly. It's tough. And like Juwan is a cheap tight end. I'm with you on it. I think cheap tight end might be a little bit of a mistake to play this week, very much of. But some of them can hit, and Juwan Johnson will be one. Dulcich at 2,500 too, I think is vaguely interesting. Number 1, Josh Allen lineup. Allen, Abdullah. Again, I probably wouldn't play Abdullah this week. Zach Charbonnet, Drake London, Khalil Shakir, Jacoby Myers, Trey McBride, Guerendo, and Niners. Number 2 is Josh Allen, Bucky Irving, Guerendo, Neighbors, Shakir, Judy, Cole Kmet, Cooper, and Giants. We were getting much worse teams for playing Josh Allen here. Josh Allen with Guerendo, Charbonnet, Devontae Adams, Khalil Shakir, Brian Thomas Jr., Brock Bowers, Hawkinson, and Jags. These Allen teams don't do a lot for me. Buffalo stacks this year have not done a lot for me. So full disclosure there. Stafford teams with the Rams being implied for 23 implied points. You got Stafford, Kamara, Charbonnet, Puka, Cooper Kupp, Jacoby Myers, Chig, Guerendo, and Titans. If you didn't have to go Chig here, I'd like to see him a lot more. Maybe make that Juwan Johnson, which they do in this one. Stafford, Bucky Irving, Charbonnet, Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, Calvin Ridley, Juwan Johnson, Trey McBride, Saints. That's a fun team. That is a fun team. Because you don't even need a bring back here because what's going to hit from Buffalo, you don't really know. Stafford with Kamara, Charbonnet, Kupp, Drake London, Jennings, Cade Otton, Guerendo, and Saints. Single stack does it less for me. I think if you're going to go with Stafford, just play the double and hope they both go nuts. Tough matchup against Buffalo, negative 0.05 EPA per drop back allowed, negative 0.06 EPA per pass. But Stafford's good enough here. You can make it happen in any spot. So I could take that shot, and I probably will. Pookie. Well, that would be Pookie for pronouncing his name the same way. Pukey would be a little bit less nice. Number 1, Caleb Williams lineup here. We got Caleb with Tyrone Tracy, Charbonnet, Neighbors, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Brock Bowers, McBride, Giants. You're getting your elite tight ends. You're going way down at RB. That's a little bit tough, but still a good lineup. Caleb with Kamara, Charbonnet, Neighbors, Judy, Keenan Allen, Ingram, McBride, and Bears. Single stack is tough for me to go to. I like Keenan Allen pretty much every matchup. He's getting fed a ton of first 3 targets since Thomas Brown took over as a play caller, but that team needs another receiver, I think. Caleb, Kamara, Charbonnet, Tyreek Hill. I would not play Tyreek at this point. DJ Moore, Jerry Judy, McBride, Cole Kmet, and Saints. I like the Moore, Kmet. I mean, honestly, it's a little bit of a stretch. And these are okay. Caleb Williams team's coming up pretty well in the top 150, though. You can see all of them here, hearted on the right side. And we got one more game left. One more team left, and then we're done. All right. Last but not least, Brock Purdy. I appreciate all you guys staying with me here. Went much longer than intended, but we had a lot to talk about today, I guess. Your number 1 Brock Purdy lineup. Purdy, Kamara, Guerendo, Debo, Jacoby Myers, Juwan Jennings, Cade Otton, McBride, Cardinals. It's okay. Purdy, Kamara, Braylon Allen, Pickens, Calvin Ridley, Juwan Jennings, Cade Otton, Kittle, Saints. And number 3 is Purdy, Saquon, Guerendo, Drake London, Debo, Jacoby Myers, Juwan Johnson, Kittle, and Raiders. Just the Juwan Jennings, Jacoby Myers everywhere. If you find a way to not play receivers in the 5K range, you are going to be really off the beaten path. Like receivers in the 5K range this week are striking me like RBs in that 8K to 9K range with Kamara and Saquon, where like there's going to be a lot of the field there. And if you pay up a little bit more at receiver or you get some value with pay up options, just getting away from Jacoby Myers, and he might be a fine play today, but getting away from Myers, getting away from Juwan Jennings, they both are okay. But they're coming up so much because that 5K salary receiver works too well. That's that. 5,800 left. Who should I go to? Jerry Judy, Calvin Ridley. I would take the shot at Ridley again. Still, I think Judy, I would have a hard time chasing Judy against Pittsburgh with the low total again. But they're both okay plays. Ridley to me, though, like just due for a touchdown to go his way instead of Nick Westbrook-Akine, and the matchup is there for it to happen. So That's that. But that's your main slate, guys. That's week 14. A lot of teams on bye here. Been a lot of stream here. But I do appreciate you guys hanging out. Like, honestly, the weirdos are going to come in and out. But you guys who hang with me, all 160 of you that went and watched this entire video, I appreciate it a bunch. If you got something out of this video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. Of course, I do new content for Splash Play Monday to Friday at 11 a.m. And of course, my final takes video will continue on throughout the playoffs, throughout the last run here, every Sunday at 9 a.m. too. So come hang out. Remember to check out our sponsors. It does support the show directly, or join down below for $4.99 if you want. But Underdog, $1,000 in bonus cash. Click the link in the description or use the promo code SPLASH. Stochastic, 15% off their data and tools. Link in the description, or use the promo code SPLASH there as well. And that deal's in perpetuity. Every month you'll find a discount. They don't do that for other deals. So it's a really good deal there. The best deal that Stochastic has. So check it out. Unabated, $30 off, promo code SPLASH as well. Get better with betting. Build your money for betting to lose at DFS. That's frankly how it goes. And the Solver, link in the description too. No discounts, but it is a great tool if you want to mix an optimizer with a sim. It does that well. Thank you to all the paying members. Thank you to also all the non-paying members that I like. Like, frankly, at this point, when the channel grows, I appreciate the people who are here riding or dying with me. Even if you disagree with stuff, there's a way to do it. Even with me, there's a way to do it. Guy sent me a fucking DM saying play Jaden Reed. I respect the hell out of that guy. He's wrong as fuck, but he made a case using data. Play Saquon if you want today. Just keep in mind what you're running into. Just approach this using your brain. That's all I ask. Use your brain as well. Gamble responsibly, even though it's money time here. And of course, follow me at Chris Spags. Follow the show at Splash Play Pod. And fuck all the 3-year-olds listening to this show. And I'll see you guys again soon. Enjoy your weekends. Good luck. Happy week 14. Bye-bye. Fuck Saquon. Bye.